Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Journey Through the Interverse. Hi, Alexis. How are you doing today?
Hello. Hello and hello to all. I am doing pretty good today. I feel like with the weather being just a little nicer, the sun shining, the like all these fat little bees are out and I just like they make my heart just burst. I love them and everything happening right now. This like really diving into the spring. It's a nice feeling. I'm feeling very good today. Thank you. How are you?
I'm feeling pretty good today, too. It's been, like you said, it was a really nice day today. In Syracuse, New York, we had full sun, which is like far and few in between. And yeah, I've been really embracing as much as I can, weather permitting, but I do try to get out like for a walk, just like in my local neighborhood, because I love walking and I do it all the time when it's nice, but I would always have to walk with someone else. And I would rarely walk in my neighborhood, except if it was with my daughter. And so now I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to walk around the neighborhood. And walking by myself is amazing because I don't know why I have this sense of freedom. Like it's really, I don't know, it's really interesting. And I take different routes every time because the neighborhood I live in is like a huge neighborhood, so many like nooks and crannies and everything. And so I mean, I'll take maybe like a 20-minute walk and it's just like going a different way. It's still a short walk, but I'm seeing like new things. And so it just really makes my day. And that made my day today when I went on the walk. Yeah, so I would say it's been a good day. It's been a good week so far. I can't believe it's already Wednesday. I was just thinking that I don't know. I don't know what that's about, but it seems like this week in particular, time seems really fast because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Wednesday. So,
I know
but
the holiday threw us
I think that's what it
completely off.
was. Yeah, and my mother came into town and she didn't leave till Monday, like Monday morning. And so I guess that kind of felt like the weekend was extended, even though it was the beginning of the week. So technically I'm like, oh, Tuesday's Monday. But then yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. So, in this chat tonight, we're going to be talking about how the dream space has been over the past 28 days. We're going to share our dreams. We'll share on what we've been hearing from other people, what's been showing up in the collective. If you can recall the previous, or we haven't had our new moon yet in Taurus. So, we are still in the lunar cycle of Aries. And so the new moon for Aries was on March 29th. That was a solar eclipse, and those first 2 weeks were very intense. And then we got to the full moon Libra and it seemed like something had like been even out, like maybe Lady Justice came through and like cut through the bullshit and just kind of like evened out the scales and gave us a moment to like breathe and have some peace.
Oh, for sure.
So we'll talk about what this has been like thus far. But first, I do want to share just a few announcements. And if you're watching us live, or even if you're watching the replay, feel free to say hello in the chat. Let us know how your dream space has been over the past 28 days. We would love to just hear about any of your dreams, whatever you can, whatever energy and time you have to put in the comments in the chat. We would love to hear and share, as we want this to be a community type and an ongoing connection and conversation. So, with that said, the first announcement is our monthly Dream Circle. Our upcoming Dream Circle is going to be May 6th. This is a small, intimate gathering where we come together and share our dreams. We, talk about how we've been experiencing transformation and healing through the dreams. If you have any questions, or there's been a dream on your mind, whether it's a current dream or something you've had years ago and just has stuck with you, and maybe it's like really moved you and transformed you in a very profound way, and you want to share it with us and maybe get our insight, see what we have to say, anything you want to share and talk about or question, this is the space for us to sit together and do that. Also, we are open to talking about other things besides dreams, such as like astral travel, mysticism. So mysticism is pretty much anything that is, like, I guess you could say taboo or behind, like hidden things and esoteric kind of
Multi.
mysterious, yeah, mysterious type, experiences where we have Aquarius in our big three. So
Yeah.
we're down with whatever we can
And
handle,
Scorpio rising.
and
That
Scorpio rising. So
definitely ties us into being really
yes,
interested in
yes.
the deep, dark, hidden mysteries of life. So,
Absolutely. So yeah, it'll be a good time. So again, the upcoming Dream Circle is May 6th. If you are interested in joining us, the registration is in the description of this video, or if you're listening on Spotify, it is in the caption. So you want to share Dream
oh,
Amigos?
yes. So Urania and I are now working with a developing app called Dreamigos. That's Dreamigos. You can find this on the App Store or the Google Play Store. It is a really cool app where you can go, you can record your dreams in a variety of different ways. You can keep them private, or you can add them to our dream line. So the dream line is really cool. It is a line of anybody's dreams that they want to share, and it's open for a commentary. You'll have dream experts like Urania and I and other people involved, commenting on your dreams and helping to interpret and guide in the ways that you need. Now, this is a developing app, so if there are some glitches or the dreamline's a little slow, give it some patience, be gentle. The full version will come out probably within the next year. But this, again, it's an incredible space for you to go and share your dreams or just record them for yourself. Something about it that Urania and I both like is that it kind of keeps score. So like if you go on and you share your dreams, like every day it'll tell you like your score, you're like you've been consistent with these dream entries for 5 days in a row. But yeah, it's a really cool app. Highly recommend downloading it and checking it out.
Yeah. Awesome. So Jace is here and says, "Evening, ladies."
Hey,
Hi,
Jay.
Jace. Welcome. And yeah, let us know how your dream space has been over the last 28 days. Has it been like normal, or has it been kind of, out of the ordinary? And yeah, so with that said, I just want to point out the dream transits for this week. Just what I want to highlight is the waning crescent moon in Pisces that is going to peak, what I mean by peak, it reaches that quote unquote exact connection between sun and moon that marks a waning crescent. So when that peaks is going to be on Thursday, April 24th. And this is a balsamic moon. It's a dark, like moving more into like the darker aspect of the moon and it's waning in light. And so I find this to be pretty interesting as we have Saturn in Pisces, we have the North Node in Pisces, Venus is in Pisces, and most importantly, just moving through that North Node, I really feel that our dream space has the capability at this time to really help us to kind of like accelerate our transformation and healing, or you could say, I like to use the word like quantum leap into like the where we want to be, right? How we want to feel. And of course, our dreams, whether they're really amazing, profound dreams, or they're anxious or nightmares, they're always giving us guidance on how we can, quote unquote, like correct what is out of balance or what we need to bring attention to, especially if you're living an intentional life and you are in awareness with your dreams, with what's happening in your waking life, your goals and such. The dreams at this point, I feel in Pisces is really going to help you to be able to make that shift or that transformation with acceleration. And with it being in Pisces, there is also this, there's going to be a tendency to have very vivid dreams, very emotionally driven dreams as well. And that in itself, I feel like there's this potential for just an even deeper connection with the divine, as I always see Pisces as the one, as connected to the oneness, as source energy or oneness. And it's the sign I feel that is more than likely the closest to spirit and potentially you could say other realms in a very um infusion type way. Like I'm thinking about how Pisces, it's hard to like separate the energy, right? Like Pisces can have a challenge with boundaries, because there's always just this natural pull to merge, to come together. And so I can see the dream space kind of reflecting that, within the waning crescent. Did you want to add anything to that, Alexis?
No, no, I just was highly agreeing with what you were saying.
Yeah, yeah, we're already feeling it.
Yes.
And then of course the highlight of this week as far as the dream transits is going to be the Taurus new moon, which I'm really interested to see how this is going to come through for all of us, especially like collectively, where Taurus, what I'm picking up is, just this focus on personal security. And right now there's so much happening in the external world that is like really causing us to feel very insecure, and like so many things are uncertain. It's like, how, like, where's the solid ground, where's my personal security, and also just this feeling of worthiness, right? Because a lot of people are suffering on many different levels. And so it is natural to feel a certain way if you're thriving, if you're striving to achieve certain things. You can also feel like, okay, well, why me, or who cares, or just so many ways you might experience this energy. And so I'm curious of how that's going to reflect in our dream space in reference to just like the symbolism, the feelings, the guidance coming through, as I feel that Taurus is really going to help us to, or Taurus season in general, aside from dreams, but it's going to help us to really learn how to connect with that personal security within, and knowing that everything you need, your resources are within you. And so I'm looking forward to the dream space reflecting that back to us.
I am too. I mean, I feel like, personally, I feel like Taurus season is going to help guide me in ways that I've been more resistant to in the past. And I feel like at this point right now, I'm very open for guidance and change. So I'm very interested to see how not only the season's going to be, but the dream space around the new moon.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of new moon, let's back it up to April. Oh, I'm sorry, March 29th is when we had that solar eclipse new moon. So I'm
Right.
curious if you can think back all the way to March 29th, that like, oof, the first 2 weeks were very, very intense. I see Jay says the most recent dreams were strange that he's had. Yeah. So I'm kind of I'm like on the flip side. So I was looking at my dream journal, and I did not record a dream basically, I think almost until that full moon in Libra, which was, let me see, literally the day of the full moon in Libra. It was April 12th. Yeah, that was when I had written a dream since the previous lunar cycle. So I think my last dream that I wrote in my journal um was, yeah, it was before the Aries new moon. And I mean, I know I record dreams on Dream Egos and other places. So I have things kind of all over the place. But I remember that that was within that week of the Aries solar eclipse. That's when I had like a nervous breakdown, and my dreams were like scary, intense, anxious. I had an astral projection experience. It was really, really intense. And there was so much going on that, like, to get to my journal in the morning was like, it was extremely hard. How was your dream space the first 2 weeks? Um, like, yeah, from the new moon to the full moon.
My dream space was very, it was very heavy and very intense, very like bringing up old um not experiences, but kind of like resolving some old experiences with people who have no longer been in my life, and bringing up issues to the surface that I need to face within myself. Um, it's just been very, there's just been a lot of information, and they haven't been very long. They haven't been very extensive dreams, but within those like shorter dreams, there's a lot of information. I've also had a lot of weird experiences, kind of humorous experiences, which I find very interesting. But the lessons are very to the very very forward to the point, like action based and leaving their mark.
Yeah. I'm curious for those of you listening, how was your dream space the first 2 weeks of Aries lunar cycle? And so again, that would have been that new moon was March 29th. So it would have been between March 29th and April 12th, which was yeah, that full moon in Libra. I would say, like I said, my dreams were really intense. And at that time, there was so much like fear and stress and anxiety and like sickness going on around me, not with me, but around me. And I was really just kind of showing up for everybody. And I was like taking a lot of pride in that. And at the same time, every single one of those people say that I connected with triggered something within me. Like it could be PTSD. I'm not quite sure. Well, I know I'm sure of some of the stuff, but at that time too, my grandfather was in the hospital for like he had already had heart surgery, but then they said they had to replace a heart valve, but then it was leaking, like it wasn't sealing correctly, so he had to go back in the hospital. And when he was back in the hospital, it was that period, like around, it was like literally right around just right after the eclipse. And I was having visitations from him in my dreams, and it was like these visitations, I knew it was him, like it was his spirit. And one of them, he was like kind of saying, it seemed like he was saying goodbye to me, and he interrupted like what was going on in the dream. Um, just like talking to me through a speaker in the room. And I was like hanging out with someone, and like he has a very distinct voice. And so I knew right away, and it like brought me out of the, like it brought me into full consciousness within the dream. And then during that period too, my grandmother was in my dreams as well, like visiting me a lot. And she like this is the grandmother that I always talk about. And they were married. Like my grandfather that was in the hospital, was married to my grandmother. Whatever. They were divorced by the time she had transitioned. But anyways, these are essentially my parents. Like those like they were my parents at a young age. So, and there's like a lot of like trauma between the two of them. And I blocked out a lot of it from like being so young. And so it was like this weird push pull dynamic. And I felt like I was like healing something between the two of them. And also like maybe this triad. It was very weird. And it was showing up in my dreams. And I believe that that was the catalyst for like the breakdown that I had. But at the other end of it was like a deep clearing and healing. And so I'll share my lucid dream experience about that. I could share now, or
Yeah, no, go
yeah,
ahead.
should I share now?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead. Go.
So basically, and I didn't write this down, but it's in my mind, but I don't, but it's going to be short because I didn't write it down. So basically this was, I think I'd already had um the like nervous breakdown, but I'll say leading up to that point, I had a few dreams about homes that I lived in, and I was seeing the ceiling and like I was seeing the exposed ceiling in the homes, and like it was so like distorted, like screws were kind of like badly screwed in the wall, like it was going from like the screws were exposed, like pipes were exposed. It was just like really like chaotic and all over the place. And so I should have, that's a warning, right? Like of like I know houses, especially roofs and things, can represent, or like the structure of the house can represent your state of mind, your psyche, especially, if you are in the space that I was in at that time. But the dream that I had when I was lucid, I think it was after. Um, and I basically had woke up on my couch in my living room, but I didn't wake up, right? It was almost like a false awakening, maybe, but I kind of knew that I wasn't awake in waking life. I was dreaming. And then my daughter's father had walked past the living room, like the opening, right, from the living room to the hallway. And I had said something to him, or maybe he said something to me, and I thought he could hear me, but he didn't really hear me. And then I set up, and I was like looking at my feet, and there was like my foot was kind of like, it was kind of like dissolving, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like basically like this flowy like mist, but it was like dark shadowy mist. And it was like I had my
Ooh.
feet up on like the ledge of the couch, and it was like my feet was like transitioning into like this like misty dark type veil energy, and it was floating over the rail of the couch, which was weird. And I was like, so then I looked up and I went to sit up, and there were these two twin ladies, and they were also like shadowy figures. So they were like black silhouettes, and their like body would kind of like sway in the wind. Like you couldn't see well, I can see their face, but like you couldn't really see their face, so to speak. And they were like cloaked and pretty much veiled. And they gave me like really uncomfortable vibes, but I wasn't really scared. I was just like, whatever. And I like laid back down, and when I laid back down, then it was like my body, like my spirit left my body. Like I felt like I astral projected, and I knew that I astral projected because I've experienced that before. And I was basically floating, and I looked out the window, and then I was like, I'm just going to go outside, I'm going to go like journey and travel. And so I went through the door. um and like actually like, and that's what I love about astral projection, because you just like, it's one of those dreams where you just can like move beyond like walls and boundaries. Like it's very clear. Like that doesn't happen when I lucid dream, not saying it couldn't, but when I've astral projected, that's always a thing. And so I like went out the door, and I'm like in my front yard, or just like gliding and floating, and I see these two younger people, probably like in their early 30s maybe, and they were walking kind of towards my house, but they were still at a distance. And I was like, oh shoot, I don't want them to see me. And I like try to hurry up and float away. And the one's like, hi, the lady's like, hi, hi. And I'm just like, oh my God, I gotta get out of here. And so I start to glide down the street of my neighborhood, and it's like, it's out of control. Like I'm going so fast, but then I'm not going fast. It's weird, but I can't control the speed of where I'm going. And so then I kind of stop, and I'm at the end of my street, and I turn around, and I see the people walking towards my house. And my daughter's in the house, and I'm like, all right, I need to go back, but I don't want them to see me. So I'm going to go around the back way. Well, I go around the back way, and I'm still floating, and I want to touch down. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to touch down on the ground. And I touch down, but still kind of hovering, and I'm moving through people's other neighbors' backyard. And then there's this pack of dogs, and they're like black dogs, like I don't know how to explain it. What do you like, jackals, basically, like a pack of jackals. They're black, they have amber eyes. I told this dream to someone, they mentioned that they're probably hellhounds, if you're familiar with those. Very kind of Hecate energy, and I did receive the Hecate oracle like that week too. And so I was freaking out, and I was like, oh my gosh, because they were coming towards me, and they were like ravenous. They were just like very intense and scary. And so I tried to like hurry up and float up, but I couldn't. And so we're just coming towards each other, because I'm still moving, not really fast, but I can't control, like I can't make myself stop. And then as soon as they get to me, they all like dissipate, like again with that mist, that veil, like as soon as we touch. And then I was just like, oh my gosh. And then I think they came, and this is where my memory gets a little fuzzy because I think that they came back or like something else came. I think it was more of them. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I tried to jump over someone's fence. And once I like jumped over the fence, like I woke up, or in the process of doing that, I woke up. And mind you, I tried to actually wake myself up out of this, I feel like 2 times previously, and I couldn't like wake up, which I think is a thing. But now that I'm saying this, I feel that one of those, or like, I feel like one of the main themes is this like dark, misty type, whatever that is, that air, that mist, like it's like a veil almost. So I think I was like in the underworld or something. I don't know. But it definitely had Hecate vibes, especially with the hellhounds and just like the energy, the darkness of the dream. It really felt like I was in that kind of territory. It was very scary. But
That
I
is,
woke up, oh, I'll say that I woke up feeling inspired about, I think, facing my fears. I can't remember exactly, but I know I woke up feeling very inspired.
well, it's funny that that's what I was kind of going to go off of. This this dream, first of all, sounds scary, but just incredibly insightful. Right off the bat, starting with the instability of the home, the instability of the self, like things that need maintenance, things that need work, things that need to be addressed or seen. And then right into the feet dissolving into that like dark shadowy mist, and then these twins kind of coming out in that same type of dark mist. It felt like you're somewhat like halfway somewhere else, like your worlds are kind of fusing a little bit. It's almost like if you were to if you wanted to, you could have gone completely wherever that mist had been taking you. That was
Mm,
the energy that I got from that, was like wherever that mist was coming from, wherever those people, those twins that were kind of just like this dark fluid mist, that they felt, this felt like you were in between spaces, like, and you were
mm,
on your way to being in that space if you allowed yourself. um the black silhouette twins felt like that visit, like a visitation. Not sure how it felt for you when they were there. Like, did they feel like something outside of yourself, or did you feel like it was like a manifestation of yourself?
oh, it was definitely something outside of myself.
Yeah. That
Yeah, it was
visitation
like,
feeling
yeah,
I got from you, like telling
yeah.
this
Like it's
experience.
almost like, if you, it was like I was kind of in a space, like when you said like in between, where you can actually, things that you wouldn't normally see. Like some people have the gift of seeing it. I don't need that gift. Thank you very much. But like I can always feel energies. Like I feel if there's a presence around, but I don't see it. Like I was in the space where I could actually see them there. And I'm like, because it was almost like not necessarily a familiarity with it, but it was like I'm used to energies kind of being in the house sometimes, where I'm just like, all right, like it didn't seem threatening to me, where I'm like, I gotta go get my child. And I was just like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
They're here for whatever reason. So yeah, it was
Well,
definitely visitation. What was that?
I was just going to say, it's so interesting because it was almost like you were going in the direction of fusing into wherever this realm was, and like facing kind of this darkness, and you chose to leave, which I thought was very interesting. And one of the things that stuck out to me was that you were going down the road and you couldn't stop. And when I was thinking about that, I was thinking about when you're learning how to ride a bike and you get on the
Mm-hmm.
pedals and you start going, but the instinct to brake is kind of like not there yet. And it felt very like playful and like kind of, I don't want to say escapey, but like lighter. And then when you
Yeah.
came back and encountering these dogs, now right off the bat, like when I think of dogs, I think of like guardians. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
what comes to mind for me. And dogs in dreams can show up as guardians, kind of like guarding treasures and hidden knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So it almost to me was like more more information, more guidance towards moving into that shadow realm,
Yeah.
wherever that is, to uncover hidden messages or knowledge that you're kind of like destined to find out soon. So I find this dream incredibly interesting, and even the fact that you tried to wake yourself up and you couldn't, because
Yeah.
you're pretty good at just waking up. Like you're
Yeah.
pretty good when you lucid dream, and when you do, you're pretty good at like when you're bored or you're over it, you wake up.
Right. Yeah, I do.
So
I'm looking and I'm like, I'm out.
the fact that you weren't able to just wake up when you wanted to was really kind of profound in the sense that
Yeah.
someone or something wants you to know this.
Yeah.
Someone
And
is trying to guide you in a direction, and maybe you're not ready for it or afraid. I mean,
that's what I was feeling, like the fear of like facing my fears or even embracing power. That I think that was one of the things that I felt when I woke up, at least what I can remember, because I just naturally started to, maybe like a week after that, I started to say this mantra every morning, as far as like I am powerful. And I've never cared about being powerful, so to speak, but for whatever reason, that was something that just naturally came up. And I could see that in the dream. And when I was sharing this dream with a friend, they mentioned that the fact that I met with the dogs and they dissolved, that spoke to like divine protection and having like a lot of power. Because it's like, it's almost like you're merging, but then it's just like you're head on, and they can really like, and they were ravenous. Like they were just like, it was crazy. And so the fact that I couldn't wake myself up, like I tried and I couldn't, it was like, I think that was a point too. It's like, no, you need to face this. Like you need
you,
to like deal with this and not avoid.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting because even like recently, the last lunar cycle, let's say last 28 days, 29 days, I have been really feeling the want to change, the want to move in the direction that I'm destined to, the want to embrace transformation, but the restrictions that I have felt on my own self have been suffocating.
Mm,
And within the last couple of days, probably, I want to say yesterday, really, I felt this clearing. I got a
mhm.
download about breaking through these restrictions and like throwing myself through the threshold into this next aspect of my life. And I wrote down on a piece of paper that I'm going to step into my personal power and
Mm.
like pursue what I'm meant to. And I burnt that and like really embraced the flames of getting that message ingrained into reality. And like even last night when I did my tarot reading, and I was going to tell you this before we went on live, but I was like right at that deadline to go live. But I actually pulled for the first time really in a really long time. I don't really ask my tarot deck questions. I just kind of like, it's more so like, please give me the guidance that I need in this point in my life. But I
Mhm.
asked a question like, what do I need right now? Like, where does my personal power lie? What do I need to pursue to really step into that? And it was such a profound pull. So the fact that you're talking about that power, like waking up and
Yeah.
wanting to step into that power, I feel that so
Mm.
intensely. And it's just kind of feels like Aries season. Like I know Aries season,
Yeah.
but it feels like that stepping into that flame, like that personal power and really getting in touch with yourself and going into action.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's like the Neptune and Aries. Because when you were saying it, I literally was thinking about Aries energy, and I was like, yes, because I've been feeling it too. And I think that was one of the main reasons for like the breakdown that I had, was because I didn't have boundaries. I mean, I do, but there were certain like relationships and just moments that were very recent where I didn't like, I was kind of stifling either my anger or just like, oh, I don't really want to do this or say this, but and then I didn't say it. And so it was like, okay, I'm giving my power away. And it literally exhausted me. It wasn't just recent, it's been an ongoing thing for like years. And so now I'm learning to just be straight up and honest with people. It's like, hey, like, no, I'm sorry, I can't do this, or I'm gonna take care of myself first, and then I'm gonna show up. And I don't care if people don't understand it. Like, if you, sorry, I will be there for you, but there's certain things that I need to do. I need to take care of myself first. And that is your own personal power in itself. And so I really feel, now I'm even thinking about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, even that dream is so Neptunian in the dissolving of like the energy, what is, physical going into something that's more like ethereal. Jay says that the dream reminds me of a passage in the Multidimensional Man where the author was in the astral and he saw dreamers dissolving when they went back into their dream from the astral. That sounds really cool. And if you went into the astral from a dream, but are unprepared for it, might be why you couldn't control yourself. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really interesting experience.
What a wonderful, I mean, horrifying in a way, but also just so
No, it was,
incredibly
yeah,
profound messages coming through, and just kind of sitting on that mess or that experience, and like what direction you want to go in after having that. Like, do you want to
yeah.
visit that space again? Do you want
No.
to,
I'm
I was
just kidding. I'm like, I
gonna
mean, it was like my home though, it was a neighborhood. So it was like, I was definitely like the next day or two, I was kind of looking around to see like if there was anything that would stand out to me as far as like from the dream and then obviously like in waking life, because that's the thing with astral projection. You tend to like be in your like local vicinity, or when you're, I would say you're in the in between. It's always like my experiences is always like I wake up in like in my home and then travel from there. And when I've had a previous astral projection experience, I actually had sleep paralysis. So I was like even more aware and conscious than just in this dream space. And I had a very strong synchronicity, and like it basically was like, yeah, something was going on, because my friend texted me while I was in sleep paralysis, but I was able to look at my phone. I was like, oh, Aurora's texting me. And that's what like pulled me out of my body for whatever reason. So then when I actually woke up in waking life, I looked at my phone and she fucking texted me. And so I was like, yes, okay, there's something going on. And so I was kind of searching for that after I had that dream, but I didn't come across anything. But nonetheless, it was definitely
say.
profound. So yeah, and it didn't freak me out like it would have in the past. Like it was intense, it was scary. I would say that was like definitely nightmarish, but I was able to get the guidance, like feel that, and not like get swept away and spiral into like, oh my gosh, like this was a nightmare and what does this mean? And yet like I knew exactly what it meant. I checked in with my feeling upon waking up and I acted on it. And yeah, so that was probably the most profound. I mean, I had a lot of profound things happen during this season, but let's move on to you.
I also had a lot of like profound dreams, a lot of interesting like relationship dreams, dreams around people I've known, people I haven't met yet, dream people, and everything in between. But the dream I'm going to share tonight is one that I found very interesting. First of all, it was from a nap. So I had this dream on April 12th, which was the full moon in Libra.
Mm-hmm.
And for context, before I had this dream, I spoke out a mantra, basically asking to meet with my guide, whether it be like my higher self, deities, guides, gods, whatever it may be. I had kind of repeated this as I was falling asleep. So in the dreaming, I met up with some dream people. I can't remember the shape they took, but I remember them being familiar. and discussing my issue with them briefly before getting into the car with my husband. We were on our way to a castle. So the castle was up on this very high mountain, and it was far away. It was a far drive. There were multiple vehicles along the path that we were driving on, and we were behind them all. They were going at such a slow pace, and I was getting really frustrated. Like I feel in myself a frustration. Like we're all going to the same place. Like you could pick up the pace a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm from New Jersey, so like I know that there's an aspect of me that just is a little impatient when it comes to slow driving. So that could easily be carried in my dream. But regardless, I was getting frustrated. It was really dark out, especially toward like further away. The clouds were pulling in and they were really, really dark. You knew there was going to be some kind of release soon. And as I was driving, I was getting more and more frustrated being behind these vehicles until I saw to the left of me a what looked like a path, like a path that you could take your car on. And it gave the illusion of a shortcut to where we were going. And I remember I was looking in front of me, looking at the like turn coming up. I was looking in front of me and kind of like actively trying to make a decision. And then right as I was about to pass it, I made a very quick decision to take it. So I turn left, I start going down this like driveway path or the illusion of a driveway path. And very, very quickly it turns into a walking path. So where the concrete or the pavement was large enough for a vehicle or two, it went down to this tiny little walking path. And I noticed I was tearing up the grass and ripping up the flowers around, and like my car was just destroying this path. And I immediately stopped. I was like, this isn't right. This isn't the way to do it. Like I can't take this all the way up. It's not suitable for vehicles and I'm just damaging my path. So I turned around and I got back on that drive further back from where everybody was. And it kind of felt like I was kind of starting where I began. And I was embarrassed and I was frustrated, but I was comfortable in my decision to get back on the road despite like the slowness that it would take. And I thought that dream was really telling of where I'm at right now in my journey. I'm having a lot of frustration, a lot of restrictions on myself, like subconscious restrictions where I feel like I'm literally butting heads with myself trying to do things. And there is an aspect of myself where I feel very behind. And I do feel like there's a part of me that wants so desperately for things to come quicker and easier. But it's just not going to happen. That's just not what life is about. Things are never just going to come to you quick and easy. You have to work and move through it at the pace that you need to move in order to get to where you need to be. So it's a very to the point dream, very, very profound for where I'm at right now, and kind of just a reality check in a way, just like you're on the path you need to be. Ride, like take it easy, ride, and you'll get to where you need to be when you get there. Like all things come in their time. But I just felt like that was a really good dream for where I'm at right now in my
I love this dream. Like I shared it with me and I was like, oh, like this dream is so profound and it's so clear. And just listening to it a second time, just in like both of our dreams together, Neptune is so strong in these dreams with like the illusion of a shortcut, but then you're disillusioned and like then it turns into this very small sidewalk. So it's just like, what is really real? What's reality? And I think that was the thing that really, stood out to me with just even your traveling, right? And as we mentioned before, like any type of traveling, like specifically even through cars, can symbolize like your life direction or the control that you may or may not have of your life. And like, what's the driving situation? Are you driving? What's the speed? And all of those factors you can really take into account. And I thought it was so like on point that you were driving, you were getting impatient. Like we all can relate to this where we know something, like you can see the castle. Like, I mean, who would want to go to a castle? That is so freaking exciting. I don't want to have to like drive slow. I want to get there. I want to be there. That's so exciting. And so that destination just feels so exciting and you can see it, you can like feel it. And naturally, we've all been in that position where we're just like, oh, I don't want to wait. I want it now. Like, how long do I have to wait for this? And, there'll be opportunities or things that it's like, oh, I can manifest this quicker. I can get there sooner, the quote unquote shortcut. And then that shortcut actually ends up like redirecting us or just making us turn around and start over, where it's like, okay, if we just have patience and stick to the path and the journey that we're on. And yeah, we'll get there sooner, probably even. You never know. Like maybe the traffic will let up and you start going faster, so to speak. And so oh my God, I freaking love this dream. It was just, I can like see it in my mind.
It was,
And
yeah.
yeah.
It's something that stuck out to me too that just came through is that the way that I felt driving behind these vehicles is the way you feel when you're late to work, but you get stuck behind a funeral procession. So, like, you're angry, but you're also like not
Yeah.
directing your anger at like the people in front of you because you know what they're experiencing is incredibly heavy and intense, and you empathize and you're not trying to push your anger onto that, but you're also running late and the frustration's building and you kind of don't know where to put it. The other
Yeah.
thing that I thought was really interesting too is that when I got onto that path and it turned into a walking path rather than a driving path, there what that to me represented an aspect of myself where I am taking my time to make decisions and being more intentional.
Mm.
What am I going to hurt? What am I going to damage if I take this path up? I could still take it up. I could still drive up the walking path. But
Yeah.
what damages are going to occur because of that decision? And I think that's something that I'm really, really bringing into, like, I'm pretty intentional with my decision making, but I think that it's really coming forward more profoundly and more pointed where I'm at in my life right now, where every decision is a new path. Every decision
Oh
is
yeah.
a new door.
Yeah.
Every single thing that you choose to do is going to bring you to, like, and it's always been that way. But for some reason, at this point in my life, it's very accentuated, like
Mm-hmm.
very, very accentuated that the choices you make are going to lead to this, or that. And it can either be a good, like, reward or a not so good one.
A
And it's like,
detour.
yeah. And it's
You're
like,
still gonna get there, but it's just it might like the thing that interests or sorry, I interrupted you.
no, I was just going to say, thinking about like the fact that I thought, I actively thought about what my result going this way would be. I would still get to where I need to be and it would be quicker, but what damages
Yeah, what
am
damage
I
I
doing to get there?
yeah, that's pretty deep. And I thought also too, it's just interesting how it went from a road to a walking path where you're getting even slower. Like you were worried about, oh, this traffic, or it's taking a long time to get to where I need to go. I'm going to take this shortcut, which ended up turning into a walking path where you can't, I mean, you could drive, but like essentially you have to walk, and that's going to, you know, take even longer than if you would have just stuck to the path that you were on.
Yep.
And yeah, I just think that one, I think it's so profound, like what's coming through intuitively, as far as like your awareness of like the different choices and your decision making and that whole process. And I think it's really profound and clear because you're so close to where you want to be right now. Like whatever vision you have for your near future, you're so close. Again, you can see it, you can feel it. And so your dream was like, hey, like don't even like just keep going, keep doing what you're doing. do not fall for whatever that illusion is over there, the shortcut. Like, don't fall for it. You're good where you are, and you're gonna get there. Just keep moving forward. So I thought that was amazing. I love that dream. That's like one of my favorite dreams you share with me.
It was definitely it definitely had it made its mark on me. Like I really, since I had that dream, and again that was, today's the 23rd, so like 11 days ago I had that dream, and it's been on my mind since, and I'm really seeing how my decisions are affecting me. And even if it's something as little as what I eat, you know, what I'm drinking, if I decide to drink alcohol or if I decide not to, these things all have their results, and I'm just very aware of it right now. And I even the idea of the storm clouds rolling in at the top of the castle, and like you can feel there's going to be a release, but like when that release is going to happen is undetermined too. There's a lot there. And that's kind of what I was talking about with this cycle of my dreams being shorter, but kind of feeling like there's a lot to unpack.
Oh yeah, yeah. There, yeah. I've been experiencing that too. What you just said, or just explaining how your awareness about everything, it brought to mind what one of they're called Rinpoches. Essentially, they're like Tibetan priests. And so the Rinpoche that kind of basically governs our temple here, he said before that awareness is not bliss. Because they say ignorance is bliss. They're like, awareness is not bliss. Like
No,
it's
no.
great, it's profound, but I mean, once you know, you can't unknow.
Yeah.
And so it's just like before you can, eat unconsciously, you can drink unconsciously, but like once you're aware of just that all the things, you got to make a conscious decision. Like it's like I'm going to have a glass of wine and I'm going to enjoy it. That happened with me on Easter. I hadn't drank in like almost 2 months, and I was really going strong, and I was going to see how long I could go because I was really enjoying it. But then I was like, oh, it's Easter, my mother's here, like we're making brunch, like I'm going to have some mimosas. And I made that conscious decision, and I made it without guilt. I made it with like happiness. And I'm like, this is a celebration. It's a holiday. No hangover, no weird stuff. Didn't have any anxiety. Like it was a great time. And so, yeah, I think it's like that conscious awareness and being very intentional with your decision making is everything. And that, like, we both had really profound dreams that were kind of compact, but like we woke up and we knew exactly what the message was, what the guidance was, and then we acted on it. And that is like everything. And that's what accelerates, the transformation and the healing.
Yeah,
And
it allows us to step into our personal power. We're
absolutely.
taking control of what we're able to, accepting what we can't and taking control of what we're able to, and making our decisions with intention and care.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. All right. So Jace is sharing last night's stream. He said was weird in that I was living in a hotel for like a week, but had a lot of furniture that was mine instead of the hotel's. It was pretty weird, and also involved airplanes too. Some airplane dreams are weird for me, like rushing to get to a plane, and it's always like I'm late to get to it, but somehow I still get on. That's interesting.
That is
Um,
interesting.
what do you think about airplanes and dreams? I don't think we've talked about that. And I've been having recently a few airplane dreams. Those dreams have been collective conscious dreams, and they're always dealing with some sort of like crash, which that's something I want to reflect on. Um, but yeah, I think it's like again, it is that element of travel and maybe some sort of like the direction you're headed.
Mm-hmm.
But I never really thought of like specific to airplanes. Like,
I
I mean,
feel
it's
like,
definitely faster.
yeah, I feel like when it comes to airplanes versus like cars, one of the defining differences could be that cars are grounded and
Mm-hmm.
airplanes are in the air. So it makes me think elemental. So maybe like more,
Yes, Thinking
like
the element.
in the mind, in the oh my gosh, I completely lost what I was about to say. But just kind of
He
being
says
more,
he,
no, go ahead.
oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. Oh, I was just saying he was adding some comments. He says he teleport. It's like he teleports onto them and then they become this tiny plane. That's so interesting.
That is interesting. And it makes
I
me
don't
think of
even.
like, is it tiny on the outside or is it tiny on the inside? Are you crammed in it or are you okay? Do you become tiny with the plane? Like, there's so much like you can get like unpack with that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean it's and I'm thinking about that hotel with furniture that is yours instead of the hotels. It feels like there's like I'm thinking about the plane and the hotel. There's something about like travel, exploration, like maybe, you know, seeing some new places or getting out of your usual comfort or like I don't know. That's kind of what's coming through for me. Um, oh, he says it's like a two-seater and a bench in the back inside. Oh, okay. So, but you're like comfortable in there. So,
So, okay, so you think so it goes from like a commercial like giant plane to like more of like a
yeah,
private plane, something smaller, something more for you and not a bunch of people. That could be a huge
yeah,
representation
yeah,
of you desiring like personal time, space, energy, and need to be alone with yourself and be away from the collective.
yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting too. I'm thinking about the perspective shift where it's like it like the perspective is like the bigger plane and then going, there's a shift in perspective. Yeah. Interesting. Well, we are almost at the top of the hour. We're going to pull some cards just to see what messages are coming through for us for this new lunar cycle. Alexis, Jace is affirming what you said. He said yes, Lex. I think I can't recall. I already can't recall like what the last part of you said as far as oh wait, what were
Oh,
you
the
saying?
need to step away
Oh,
from the
alone time.
collective and be with yourself, like to
Yeah, there
be
we go.
to have
I was
alone
like,
time, to really center your energy on taking care of yourself and being with yourself. And like right, you can tie that in with like the aspect of, you know, what does a vehicle represent, you know, when it's grounded versus being in the air. Maybe you need to spend some more time in like in thought, in silence, to process things, to let ideas come to you and kind of just be in that space of discovery and alone.
yeah,
By the
you're
way,
getting hearts.
I started shuffling and this immediately popped out. So
I
this
was
is the
taking that,
card
yeah.
that it's the kindred.
Oh, well, tell me about that one.
So I'm gonna hold it up to the screen again. It is a very interesting. I mean, I think those are what are the rabbits with the antlers called? Oh my god, I think they're a mythical creature, but they're just this is a cool card. Hold on one
Yeah.
second. Okay, all right. Oh my lord. Okay, so the kindred. This is a Earth card. It is under the sign of Cancer, and it's ruled by Venus. In unity, the soil of creation is fertile. In division, even empires crumble. The kindred depicts jackalopes. That's it, jackalopes.
Jackalopes. Yeah.
Gathering. Mythical beings finding solace in their shared strangeness. Earth's nurturing embrace and the soft glow of Venus with Cancer's tender energies weave a web of belonging. So the kindred keywords are community, chosen family, and emotional bonds. As the lifting veil parts to reveal hidden realms, the kindred beckons us to find sanctuary in safety and love of our chosen family. In a world where the uncanny lurks, there is power in gathering those who mirror our own nature. Lean into the healing alchemy of vulnerability and acceptance and let the love of kin transmute alienation into connection. So there's something really interesting about this card. The first one being um, the lifting veil, as the lifting veil parts to reveal hidden realms. So, right off the bat, that to me feels very in line with both our dreams. You know,
The
you
Neptune and
like that
Aries.
Neptune energy coming
Oh my
through
goodness.
and
Hello,
the
Neptune.
illusion of it, the illusion of the like where the uncanny lurks. And it really feels like a call to come together with people who you love and care about with boundary and with space, knowing how much is in your cup, what you can give out, but coming together with people who can help guide you and help heal you on your journey, like what we're doing right now.
Yeah. And this is like, it kind of also echoes what you were pointing out as far as choices, like being very intentional and and being very aware of your choices, like the choices in front of you, the decisions that you make. And this is specifically honing in on like relationships, on family. I do get a sense too that there, while we're in Taurus season, this is naturally Taurus makes like a conflicting connection to Aquarius, right? There's like some tension there. And I feel that it's like kind of like we're basically choosing our tribe, our community, our family, especially again when there's so much like chaos in our external world and we're learning to come back within. Once we go out again into the external, we want to be very like aware of who we are connecting with. And so um, I just see this connection between Aquarius and Taurus, but almost like the tension, like one being wanting to stay in the comfort, and then Aquarius wanting to break through the comfort and be innovative and try new things and explore uncharted territory, and also do that as a collective, like in your tribe. So
Yep,
I really felt that very strongly. And we're more than likely going to be experiencing this unveiling and guidance with that in our dream space.
absolutely. Absolutely. Very intentional where your energy goes. You only have so much of it at a time. If you're giving your energy to people who are kind of sucking you dry and not having that equal exchange, that balance, there's not going to be anything left for you. It's really important that you interact with people who are going to also fill your cup rather than just drain it.
Yeah, and that's a special message for me. That's how I got myself in trouble the first time or recently. It's like, oh, be careful, like pay attention to how your energy is, like where your energy is going, where you're investing your energy, who's like, benefiting from your energy. Is it mutual? Are you replenishing yourself? Because that was where I was at, was a point of depletion. And I was receiving a card over and over again. It was the Ten of Wands, which can be a card of burnout and depletion.
Yeah,
Especially in the deck that I was using, the person was like on in a desert and it was just very dry energy. So yeah, so definitely take note of that. So, oh, Julia's here. Hi, Julia. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you could catch us live. Thank you for being here. I would love to know your thoughts and yeah, how your dream space has been. All right, so I have already received an oracle card. And speaking of shadow and all of those things, we received set, which the keyword here is shadow. And also we had adversarial, ally, and trickster. And so this is
ah,
interesting, right? The trickster, the illusion,
illusions.
like you
Ah,
really can't make this up. And basically Set is one of the four siblings. So you have Set, you have Osiris, you have Isis, and Nephthys. And Set essentially was the one who killed Osiris. And so he's always kind of like, he has like the devil energy, so to speak. Like if you think about tarot too, it's kind of like that same trickster um type energy. But what I enjoy about this particular interpretation is that, especially because they said adversarial ally. And so it's looking at your shadow as an ally, as like not as an enemy, but how can you like learn from this? How can this be a benefit? So it says, if it's difficult for you to face your own shadow or the shadow of others, and you find yourself drawing this card, you can call on Hathor, which is the mother, like the divine mother. And the Egyptian mythology, she's also has the correspondence to Venus. So it's coming back into that nurture and care and nourishment. So you can call on Hathor to help you locate the unconditional love that will enable you to transform your perspective. If you're willing to face your shadow aspects, you can heal them. You don't need to fear Set. He has shown up to reflect your shadow or the shadows of those connected with your situation so that you can embrace it with love and consciousness. As the trickster, he brings humor and light into the shadow. He can help lighten up a heavy situation and will keep you from taking yourself too seriously. Also, when Set shows up, he may be asking you to withdraw a negative projection that you have directed toward another in your life, or to recognize a projection that is being directed toward you. Like the other gods and goddesses, Set appears in your life to set you free. So it's really, even the interpretation is giving a whole new perspective and dynamic to how to interpret this shadow energy, the trickster, because even the way they express trickster is not like what we initially thought. It was actually like being fun and humorous and not being so serious about what's happening. So like, don't believe everything you think, don't take things too seriously. And so it's literally the same message, between both of our readings.
I feel like too, just the integration of the shadow. That is something I feel like both of our dreams really came through. Like that's a theme that I feel like both of our dreams had. And I feel like right now is really the time for shadow work to really lean into integration and facing some of these difficult aspects that we need to learn to accept and grow with rather than abandoning and neglecting.
Yeah. So Julia says, I'm glad to be here. The Kendra card is on point. I had a similar conversation with a friend today. Facing the shadow aspects allows us to be in deeper connection with others too. Even if they are already kindred spirits to us, we can go even deeper with them. Yes.
Yes,
If we're
absolutely.
resonating with them in some way or another, if they're in our life, if they're in our perspective, like in our, line of sight, we're engaging with them. Everything, everyone outside of ourselves essentially is like a reflection in some way, or we can learn from that. And so, if there is a connection or relationship that's, kind of shadowy and just things that you don't like, you can really dig deeper with that and learn, either boundaries or like, what is it that I am needing to learn from this? What does this say about me?
Yeah.
So
Even
that's,
questioning the people around you, not like physically questioning them, but questioning why you're friends with them. Why are you interacting with them? Like what are
you
they
really have
bringing?
to.
What are you guys, creating together? What are they bringing to the table for you, and how are you guys finding a mutual exchange? And I just a fantastic pool from both of us. It just everything just aligns and
On point.
feels so on point and kind of maps out the way that I feel like the next couple of weeks are going to go. A lot of shadow work coming through.
Yeah. Yeah, and Venus is holding it down with like having compassion, unconditional love, have grace for yourself, take care of yourself. That's definitely a Taurus theme, with that self-care and really just like nourishing yourself. Um, yeah, awesome. So I feel really good with what we've shared here tonight. And of course, we'll be checking in with the way the energy is flowing with every chat that we have here live. I just want to share just a quick announcement, if that's okay. This or no, May 4th. So next Sunday, I'm going to be teaching Lucid Dreaming 101, and it's going to be an online class via Ritual Craft School. And so essentially, in this lucid dreaming class, I'm going to talk about the basics of recording your dreams, but also the basics of lucid dreams and how to induce them, what to do when you're in a lucid dream, and most importantly, like, how do we integrate that experience? How do we act on the guidance and what we reflected and interpret? How do we embody that? And so again, that is going to be May 4th. If you are interested in participating in that class, the link is in the description of this video. And so yeah, go ahead and register. I look forward to seeing you there. Yeah, so I think that is pretty much all we have. I believe next week we're going to talk about deja vu and dreaming. So that's going to be interesting. And Jace, yeah, make sure you show up live, Jace, because Jace has like really good points about that too.
I'm very excited for our conversation around the idea of
Yeah,
deja
because we've
vu
been
and
having
how it
some,
shows
yeah,
up for us.
yeah.
I just find it so intriguing. So stay tuned.
All right, everyone. So we're wishing you all the best for this new lunar cycle. Happy new moon in Taurus. And we'll be talking to you all next week.